Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Cyprianne Rookwood. I am an attorney licensed in both New York and New Jersey. I handle family law cases, criminal defense, and immigration law. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you are new, hi, nice to meet you. Hope you come back. Okay, so let's get into it. As promised, I mentioned before in previous video that this month I'm doing a family law series on different issues that will arise before the marriage, during the marriage, and after the marriage. So today we're going to talk about a very sensitive subject matter, and that's domestic violence. And oftentimes this can happen in the context of a marriage, right? I believe his name is Columbus Short, had been recently arrested again, apparently, for a domestic violence incident that happened between him and his wife. Unfortunately, his story is not uncommon. Domestic violence is an issue that often comes up more than it should, or more than we would like to admit, in marriages. Okay, so this video is going to discuss issues of relating to domestic violence. Of course, domestic violence can happen during a marriage. It can happen also in intimate partner relationships. So you don't necessarily have to be married for it to be considered a domestic violence. In fact, you don't even have to be living together for it to be considered domestic violence. In New York, there are certain factors that needs to be met in order to be able to petition the court for a family offense petition. In order to file a family offense petition with the family court to obtain a family court order of protection, you just need to show that you are married to the respondent or were married. So you could be divorced. You're still considered a family for the purpose of an order of protection. You can also file one if you are related to the person, whether by blood or marriage. Don't necessarily have to live in the same household. You can also file one if you have children together, whether or not you've been married or lived together. And you can also file one if you have been in an intimate partner relationship. Of course, the court is going to look, if you've never been married, you don't have any children together, you are not related by blood or marriage, meaning you're not, brother, sibling, step sibling of some sort due to the marriage. Then the court is, and you're claiming that your relationship is of an intimate partner relationship. The court is going to look at the nature of the relationship. So you don't necessarily have had to have sex, but it could be just dating. It's going to look at the extent of the relationship, look at the frequency of the interaction between you and the other person. It's going to look at the duration of the relationship. How long have you been in an intimate partner relationship? It's going to look at other factors, but essentially just fraternizing or casual dating wouldn't qualify for the purpose of obtaining a family court petition. Okay, so let me just get back into the subject regarding domestic violence. So I did a video recently responding to mandatory arrests in domestic violence incidents. And here's the deal. Approximately 14 states have had or have on its books, in its penal law, mandatory arrests, in its procedure, I guess, mandatory arrests when a police officer is called to the scene. So when a police officer, if you're having a dispute and it gets out of control and someone calls the police, depending on the state where you're in, and actually New York happens to be one of those states that have mandatory arrests. New Jersey has a combination. Essentially, in New Jersey, it's mandatory arrest in certain circumstances. So the officer will have to kind of do a little bit more digging and can't just make an arrest, right? There has to be other criteria and circumstances that has to be met first. But in New York, the officer simply has to determine who the initial aggressor is. And it's it leaves it up to the officer to decide who they think is the initial aggressor or the perpetrator. And so in that event, the officer, and here's the deal. police officers are not always trained. It's very evident that there is a lack of cultural and diversity training when it comes to interacting with communities of color. So mandatory arrest laws do negatively and disproportionately affect women of color, unfortunately. So if you are afraid to call the police because there is a DV incident, I completely get it. So one way you can get an order of protection is through the criminal court. If the cops comes to the scene and make an arrest, you can get an order of protection that way. But the other way you could get an order of protection is through the family court, where no one has to be arrested. You simply go to the court. You can go and file a police report. Obviously, that's a good idea to do for documentation purposes. And you will get you will fill out a domestic incident report to explain what had happened. And then you will go to the court and file your petition requesting an order of protection, and then the family court can make the determination. Initially, when you go to the family court to request an order of protection, you will get a temporary order of protection. The court almost always, if you've met the burden, so to speak, of proving preliminarily that there is a need for an order of protection, then the court will issue an ex parte order of protection until the next court date. And then, of course, they will serve the respondent, and then the respondent will get the opportunity to show up to court and to address the allegations. So this is something that does come up during the course of a relationship. Sometimes it comes up during the course of marriage sometimes, and it can often lead to divorce, right? So usually this is kind of where the breakdown of the relationship starts, or it happens. So anyways, if you have been served with a family court petition, a family offense petition, and you're seeking an attorney to represent you, give my office a call. If you are trying to obtain a family court order of protection, you can give my office a call as well. I do represent petitioners who are seeking an order of protection. My number is 718-879-3265. You can visit my website at www.rookwoodlaw.com and shoot me an email requesting a consultation. Consultation fees apply, and then we can set up an appointment and go from there. Okay, guys, so that's all I have on domestic violence for right now. I might come back later and elaborate more. If you have questions, of course, comment in the comment section, and I'll be happy to come back and answer your question. I'll answer it in the comment section, but if it requires a more elaborate answer, of course, I will do a video addressing your questions. Also, keep in mind that I will be scheduling a live session towards the end of the month to answer any questions that you might have in family law, criminal law, or immigration law. So keep that in mind. Look out for that. Again, guys, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos. Okay, until next time, it's been my pleasure. Bye.